Yep, but first, we've heard a lot in recent times, haven't we, about the challenges facing charities. Like everyone, they're facing rising costs and the pressures that brings. Well, because of that, Wiltshire-based Prospect Hospice says it's had to make the tough decision to close one of its charity shops, a key source of income. Stuart Necrews from Prospect joins us. Some really sad news. What's led to it then, Stuart? Good morning.
Good morning, Ben. You're right, it is indeed sad news. Our Marlborough 1 store, we're very fortunate to have 2 stores on the high street in Marlborough, but the store that we're closing at 110A was actually our first charity shop, so it holds a really special place in all of our hearts here at Prospect. But the simple reality, as you were just saying, costs are rising across the retail sector, and we're not immune from that. And what that's kind of meant is that the store is no longer profitable for us, so we've made the decision that we need to ensure that we make the best use of the resources available to us, and that's led us to the conclusion that we should close the store.
Was there any wiggle room at all? Any help in terms of business rates or support, or did you, sort of sign on the dotted line to say, no, this is the way we need to go?
Yeah, it's a really great question, and business rates relief during COVID will have helped enormously. But of course, shopping patterns change, and our location next to WH Smith was a fantastic location, but the store itself is quite a difficult shape. The ground floor is quite narrow, and there's a tight set of stairs that lead to an upper floor that's actually larger than the ground floor. So it's operationally a challenging store. Shopping habits have changed. Our other store in Marlborough, further up the high street, has been very successful for us. So in terms of wriggle room, we've got a really great team of staff and volunteers in that store, so it wasn't a case of we felt that we could make some changes there that would make the difference, and ultimately the conclusion was that closure was in the best interest of the hospice.
And what about the staff? Are they understanding? Will there be any sort of sacrifices? Will people have to go? I mean, I know volunteers form a large plank of what you do, but you must have paid staff as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's such an important point and a key consideration whenever we consider closing a store. Because we have the other store in Marlborough, we've been able to amalgamate the staff from both the stores into the other store further up the high street, so there'll be nobody is at risk of any redundancy. And I met with the volunteers earlier this week and reassured them that we'd be delighted to see all of the volunteers from both stores continue to support our work in the other Marlborough store. So no one is at any risk. And in fact, what we'll actually end up with is probably a slightly more resilient staff structure by the fact that we're able to, instead of spreading our great colleagues across 2 stores, we can focus them in one.
Yeah, and with the state of play of charity shops and your 16 other stores, I understand, I mean, what's the future, do you think? I was really struck. I was taken aback by how cool a place the bookshop store you've got on Victoria Hill in Swindon is. It didn't, with respect, feel like any charity shop I'd ever been in before, Really nice atmosphere. Are things changing? Do charity shops have to think outside the box a little bit, or will they always be supported, do you think, by certain people?
I think, you mentioned books and media there on Victoria Road, and I think that's a fantastic blueprint for the future of the hospice. As you said, we'll have 17 stores actually once we've closed Marlborough 1, which serves the great communities across Swindon and North East Wiltshire. And I think books and media is a really interesting template for what the future of charity shops can look like. We have a very loyal customer base, but we do know that there are members of our community that we don't serve, and therefore the churning of the retail portfolio, so to speak, in terms of looking at each store and understanding, are we in the right place on the high street? Is the store the right size? Are there better opportunities for us? It is an activity that any retailer would do, not only in the charity sector, but mainstream retail as well. So actually, I think the future is really bright. And whilst it's a tough time to close a store, particularly one as important to us as Marlborough 1, actually we do see some great opportunity to open new stores elsewhere across our region.
Yeah, which is good, because the backdrop can be sort of deemed to be tough, with an estimated 4 million fewer people seeing and donating money to charity compared to before your COVID. So the Chancellor's budget in a couple of months, Stuart, what more could she and the government do to help, would you suggest?
I think that's a great question, and I think you mentioned rates relief earlier, and I think a lot of retailers, big and small, would potentially question the rates sort of structure that we have in the UK. Potentially online-only retailers benefit quite enormously from cheap rents in sort of out-of-town warehouses, whereas high street retailers do struggle more with that. There are some changes coming which should help that, but that definitely adds a cost to our operation here. And of course, the NI increase, a few months ago definitely made life a little tougher. I think we are very fortunate that we've got some very loyal, all of our staff are very loyal here and do a fantastic job for us. But as those sort of payroll costs increase, it makes it tougher for us to deliver a sustainable return. And as you said, funding for all charities is really important. And Prospect, as you probably know, gets less than 20% of our funding centrally from the government, and we have to raise the rest of that ourselves. And in fact, retail is our single biggest income stream. So, I'm very clear that retail is really important. And if we make the decision to close the store, we need to think about what new opportunities we can look at to further grow that income stream.
Stuart, good to talk to you. Thank you. Stuart Necrews from Prospect Hospice. With that news, bad news, sad news it is, about the way of life and the way of things and the way that they have to shut Marlborough shop number 1, but the second shop remains. 7:46 is the time.